1. I used to bartend at pretty much the only bar in my small town. Took some time away from the service industry, and recently got hired to bartend at the golf course restaurant at the local college. It's been a lot of fun watching my regulars from the other bar do double takes when they walk in and see me behind the bar. I was hired to help them set up their bar section, which before was extremely limited, and since it's on a college campus, most of the staff are younger kids who have never had any experience working in a bar or serving drinks. Well, one day, while I was still training, 2 of my favorite regulars walk in. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, these guys are assholes. But you have to do a lot to get on my bad side, and I'm usually pretty good at figuring out how to handle people, so I still enjoy them a lot. Hopefully someone here knows what I mean. They're dicks, but they're my dicks. As soon as they walk in, my trainer runs around the corner in the back so that she's out of sight. Confused, I follow her to see what she's doing. She tells me that she's pretty sure the guys who just walked in are close to needing to be cut off, but she's never sure, and they sometimes get crummy with her when she tries to cut them off or slow them down. So she's taken to hiding when they come in until they leave. She's super young, totally understandable. I give her a smile and tell her to follow me. We go back out, the guys are excited to see me. I'm happy to see them, and we shoot the breeze for a minute. While talking to them, I can tell she was right on the money. They're getting close to needing to be cut off, but they definitely aren't there yet. After talking for a second, they each order a shot and 2 beers to take with them out on the course. I grab them each a beer and set them on the railing and let them know I can give them each a beer and that'll be it for the day. Their expressions immediately turn sour, and one of them starts to argue with me. I cut him off saying, "Listen, I can give you this beer and you can enjoy the rest of your game. Or you can argue with me and I can give you nothing. Totally up to you." He continues scowling at me for a second before his expression softens, and he gets a big smile on his face. "I really missed you." They pay for their beers, with a fat tip, and go back to their game. My young little trainer just stared at me wide-eyed. I'm so excited to teach this new generation of servers how not to take shit. This story definitely sounds like I'm tooting my own horn a bit, but that's because I am. It's always a nice feeling when you get a win while working in the service industry. 2. I'm one of 3 waitresses employed at a Chinese-American restaurant and bar. It's not small like Red Lobster, nor is it big like a Buffalo Wild Wings. It looks like a 2-story home, but is big enough to have the kitchen, small bar area, pool table, and 5 booths. Across from that is another bar, big, a large room that could seat 52 or 53 patrons. Attached is another large banquet-sized room fitting 60 or 70. My boss is also the owner, who is Korean. Longtime close friends with my mom. I've been working full-time for 5 or 6 years there. For the past 5 or 6 years, I've kept my mouth shut because of her and my mom's friendship. But now I'm putting my fear and anxiety aside and speaking out to hopefully get advice from other more knowledgeable and more experienced waitresses and servers. I won't list everything, but just a few that's been causing my mental health to be bad enough. It's affecting me physically, emotionally, and mentally. 1. Paid hours start at 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. end of shift. I am left alone from anywhere from 10:05 p.m., when one of the waitresses leaves, to anywhere from 11 p.m. to 12 a.m., cleaning the entire restaurant, all tables and booths that were missed, wash up cups, dry then stacked away, refill all ketchup bottles, soy sauce bottles, salt and pepper shakers, restock both beer coolers, dry and roll forks, sweep wood floor, vacuum both large sections and the small section. There's just about 3 or 4 more tasks, but wait for it. Every beer bottle sold must be tacked on the customer's ticket order. Then it's added up when they pay the total. If I served a beer but mistakenly forgot to tally it up on ticket, I am required by my boss, the restaurant owner, to pay out the next day's tips I earn. I have given from $3 to 50-something. On weekends, it's packed, and with only 2 waitresses of age to serve, the third, the one that left earlier, is underage. As head waitress, also doing a hostess and buzzer's duties, and bartending the main big bar. With 1 waitress, hostess, bartender, serving 20 or 40 customers, give or take. This guy and the table of 12 and 4 at the bar all needing another beer. I tend to forget to tally some. I'm legit running to the kitchen to get food. Taking no tables, getting beat by bar people, then suddenly a phone call. Oh yay, it's a to-go order. I don't get scheduled breaks nor food breaks. I've had to hold it for at least 6 hours because I had no chance to go to the bathroom. Oh, and any dine-in dashes or food item we've accidentally not charged. It's written on the ticket, just not seen well enough to enter the price on the cash register. Yeah, that comes out of my tips too. Is that something my boss can do? Can I report it to Ohio Labor Law Office or the Attorney General? There is much more crap. From asking me, I always refuse, and she says she will either fire me or have the other waitress do it, or she will take money from my tips. I still refuse, to refill the small liquor bottles with bigger ones she buys. I'm sure lots of bars do this illegal stuff, but when you're putting me in a spot and risking me getting into trouble, no way, Jose. To physically being in the kitchen and hearing her talk so much crap about one of us in Korean to her kitchen helper and friend. She's even spoken to me about someone she's fired, and some currently working, saying rude, disrespectful things. She's even said how my face isn't pretty this or that day, or how stupid I am to miss tallying beer bottles more than once in a month. I'm just sick and tired of her putting me in these situations. Making me charge all the alcohol-drinking customers full price, yet she has her favorites and has me charging them about $3 or $3.50 less than everyone else. To me, that's just BS. I'm stressed and my anxiety starts attacking me when I'm leaving home and driving to work. Sometimes it's so bad I get nervous and fearful because she intimidates me and tries to make me feel bad for her when she tells me how stressed she is and how us waitresses are making her lose money from missed food or beer. What about us, though? I find myself living off and relying on tips right now, 2 paychecks. A personal type check, a month are accounted for. It's affecting my health. I'm losing weight because I'm so stressed on work days that I can't eat before work. I have to take anxiety meds now and see a therapist. I'm already diagnosed with anxiety and PTSD, ADD, and depression, but my boss has caused even my PTSD to worsen. Any suggestions, advice, etc. is profoundly appreciated. 3. I'm so upset I'm shaking. I have custody of my niece and her water got shut off. I have a full-time job but recently picked up a second job as a server because I need cash to get it back on. I'm living off the tips I get. I have to walk to work to save money, and it was almost 100 degrees, so I was sticky and sweaty. I went into the public bathroom. There's no employee bathroom. I was freshening up with my wipes, trying to be as quick as possible, and I heard, "Hi!" A kid had crawled under the stall. There is always obnoxious music blaring, so I didn't hear him come in. It looked like he was old enough to know better, maybe 10 or 11. I had my back to the door because I have this fear that someone will look through the cracks. Irrational and silly, but still. I immediately started yelling at him to get out. The little shit was laughing like he knew it was wrong. I thought maybe his mom was washing her hands in another stall, but nope. This kid was in the women's bathroom alone. I've been sexually assaulted in a bar bathroom before, and my fight or flight kicked in. I chased him out of the bathroom and started asking, "Whose kid?" very loudly. He was still laughing, thinking it was funny. His mom runs up and yanks him toward her, screaming, "Why are you talking to my kid?" I told her he had crawled under my stall while I was changing. He says, "Yeah, I almost saw her naked." The mom starts screaming at me, asking, "Why were you naked in a public bathroom?" And that I was a predator for being in the men's bathroom. At this point, my manager came over to tell everyone to stop yelling and making a scene. I admit I was a bit worked up, but an unaccompanied child should be cause for concern. No? I told her I was in the women's bathroom, and she looked at her son and asked if he went in the men's or the women's, and he started to cry, saying he was confused and didn't know. Me. The bathrooms are clearly marked. I told her, If it was true, it wasn't, then he needs a chaperone to the bathroom if he can't read. She threw a huge fit, and I got fired because I was still in my probationary period. My boss said I couldn't be freshening up at work or getting naked at work, which I wasn't fucking naked. I was sweaty and gross and about to start a double shift. We don't have employee bathrooms or changing rooms and are required to change into a uniform. Today, June 5th, I went back to speak to the manager who's above my boss. Serving jobs in my area are scarce, and I really need a job where I get daily tips. He and I spoke, and he said he couldn't risk a child or guest being involuntarily exposed to an employee who was naked or partially clothed in his restaurant. I was in a bathroom stall. Some have said I got fired because I made a scene and was yelling, but that wasn't why. It was because a guest crawled under the stall and saw me changing and freshening up. I'm fuming. 4. This girl, so let me tell you, she's a hot mess. Whatever. She can do the job well. Not a great people person, but can do the tasks at hand. She was giving me a ride to work. She worked at 10 p.m., I worked at 11 p.m. She got me at like 10:15, but then had me go in to cover for her, and she said she'd come in when my shift started. She was already going off about one of the cooks she was sleeping with who had blocked her, and had shown up, not working, just came in, to our restaurant drunk as anything the day before and passed out in the back booths. So I was like, okay, it's a bad day, I got you, thanks for the ride. But 11 p.m. rolls around and we have 6 tables, and I took them and sat them because I thought she would be in by then. I had to keep apologizing, saying their server would be right with them, and had to go out to her car to wake her up. She wasn't responding, she passed out over a dab pen. I had to bang on her window. She wasn't in by 11:20, and I was getting calls on the phone, people want to all order, and I'm starting to panic and run back out, and she's just zombified. She was ignoring customers, walking around in a daze. We had 8 tables, and she only took 2 of them. She was unresponsive half the time. 3 tables wanted her name to make complaints. I knew I could not run the restaurant with that many people by myself. I simply can't. I thought she was tired, but turns out she also took edibles right before as well. Customers didn't want her to serve them because they were afraid she'd spill coffee on them, and one of them asked me if she was on hard drugs. That's how fucked up she was. I didn't want to get her in trouble, but luckily another server came in just to eat, dressed casually, and I had him call our manager, as they weren't answering me. I knew someone was going to report her anyways to our manager, but was worried they'd report her to the corporation and she'd be terminated. They had me send her home, and she's so annoyed and passive-aggressively posting things right now. I didn't tell to be a snitch. Smoke if you're gonna and can function, but I needed to shut down the restaurant if I was gonna have no help. The managers tried to tell me to make it work and send her home, and I wasn't going to and just locked the doors. But the visiting server hopped on board and helped me all night. He was a godsend at that moment, but this girl was trying to tell our manager it wasn't drug-related and to paint out that I'm just crazy to all our coworkers to cover up. She passed out in the parking lot in her car until 5 a.m. Why would I make that up? It was one of the most stressful days of my work career there. Now I have to go in tomorrow and explain to everyone why I snitched. Next time I'm going to throw her under the bus to everyone. I'm not trying to help next time. Why would anyone get that high and try to work? I don't understand. Now I feel like I'm crazy, but the server who hopped on told me she was unresponsive in general as well. So I'd like to believe it was justified. She claims she took 4 or 5 edibles and then hit the dab pen. That's the end of my rant. 5. I recently got hired by a corporate-owned restaurant, which I shall call the Fast and Furious franchise of the dining world. After getting acclimated to my new environment, for the past month I can safely say I've got my footing in place. Now, not to sound too naive, but it seems when it comes to management, each one of the 5 have a rather unique way of handling things. And I myself like certain ones way better than others. However, first and foremost, I'm lucky to at least have all of management to have their employees' backs and investing trust in their staff. My main issue is that sometimes it's hard to figure out what the final ruling on certain situations is, and that creates some internal conflict during decision time. I have one GM, and he's a great guy. He values each of his staff and their uniqueness. He isn't a strict uniform type of guy. Just show up and do your best and listen. As long as you know you did your best, whenever a mistake is made, if you be honest and tell him, he'll always have your back. However, bottom line though, he is very much the company man. Profit and money comes first at all times. I work as a host, and he is very much slam the servers. Guests shouldn't be waiting in the lobby if there are open tables, which you can see can be a problem if they've been consistently busy. It despises when you try to create a false wait, which is something I personally hate doing, but if I need to buy time, I need to buy time. He is also all about cutting staff if we can save money. If it's not peak busy high volume, it's time to tell people to go home. Which sucks when I get sent out to hunt down servers and tell them, "Hi, I know you traveled far to get here, but you've got to go." Like I'm the Blade Runner and the servers are rogue replicants. Sometimes it's like playing hide and seek with them. The place is rather huge. My only pet gripe with the GM is that despite having 4 other managers working there, no one should be helping the front desk. Which I mean, thanks for giving our host crew autonomy a majority of the time, but sometimes I need them. Then we have some of the AGMs, which are 2. One of them is my favorite, this old dude who reminds me of my dad. He is the kind of guy that doles out cheesy dad jokes. He is responsible for all of our technical hardware for the restaurant and anything technology related. Basically, he makes the unseen stuff working for our crew. When the lighting isn't working or something's wrong with the pipes or the walk-in, he's our go-to guy to get it fixed. He's also one of the best schmoozers I've ever seen with guests. You've got a table that seems like it just keeps going south, you send him over there and he smooths things over well. A jolly fun type of guy, just don't let him micromanage any of the front desk stuff or the window, and it'll be okay. Then the other AGM is the one who micromanages everything, and she does it really well. She is my go-to person whenever I have questions or need feedback on something. Normally she's in the back though, expediting and making sure the kitchen plays well with the staff. Then there's the 2 managers underneath the mentioned 3. They mostly work with the front desk, so I have the most interaction with them. Both of them have a lot of experience working as hosts and servers in other branches prior to them coming to our location, so they know their stuff, and have a lot of empathy for the crew. One of them is currently someone I thought was rather lazy, but over the recent holiday was really helping me clean for the bathroom. He actually cleaned the toilet and did the gross tasks while I was mopping. So now my viewpoint has changed on him. The other one has a lot of experience with hosting and serving, so this is when these 2 theories and styles oppose the GMs. They always tell us to check with servers and ask them their current mental state. Can they take another table? Because the idea is if they can't, then we at the front know and can make alternate plans. Seating a server that is in the weeds. We've already done something we can't fix, and costs up having to comp or fix something. Also, when it's rather busy, sometimes servers won't complain or say anything to anyone, so this is where the communication is key. I lead this into a situation where our GM got upset one day about a small wait because the pilot, our person in charge of seating, wanted to check if certain servers were ready to be sat. The GM only sees money being wasted when it's just sitting in the lobby instead of at a table. So after the tirade, both of the 2 young managers came up and said that despite all that, no matter what, our GM is our GM and has final say. So now if things look like it's going to shit, I have to find them to help the servers that need help. I know this was rather long-winded, but having to play politics and make decisions that satisfy both ideals is kinda stressful. I see the merits in both management styles and theories as to why one side is best versus the other. But I also do not want to promote infighting either. When the GM got upset and asked why we were doing what we were doing, instead of saying because so-and-so said so, I just said, "It was my idea, sorry." Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Spinning Plates, episode 214. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. If you'd like to get the videos a little earlier than they go up on YouTube, you can subscribe to my Patreon, which is linked in the description, as well as make super chats and other things if you'd like to support the channel financially. You're not required, but it does help keep things running. And since I know a lot of people don't know about it, there is a Hellfreezer podcast available on Spotify. It is uploaded to YouTube as well, but Spotify is a few weeks ahead. And with that, let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is: French toast, sweet or unsweet? Now, this might shock and disappoint some of you. I've never had the sweet variety. For me, French toast is always a very savory dish. Actually, speaking of dishes that are sometimes sweet but also savory, waffles. I don't think I've ever had a sweet waffle, but I've always had potato ones that you can pop in the toaster. That might be a British thing, but they're very, very good, especially if you put them on like a sandwich. Like you warm, they're nice and hot, and you put like cheese and deli meat, maybe a little bit of like cream cheese or something on there, maybe a little butter if you're feeling fancy. Then you put the hot from the potato waffles on your sandwich, and it melts the butter or the cream cheese a little bit, and it's just, it's very good. But do let me know if you have a preference in a comment below. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.